Alright, welcome back. Today we'll be covering the derivative, the big kicker in calculus. As a quick recap, in part 2 we saw how to, let me draw a little bit, we saw how to get the slope of a function at a certain point by drawing a tangent line from point P to point Q, where if we have point P, x of P, and then obviously because it's on a function f of xp, like you could also say that this is y of p, but it's the same thing. And then we have q, which is just a tiny offset, like 0.01, that's just very close to p, but not quite. And obviously it's also on f, so we'll just take this x coordinate and put it in the function, like that. Then we can use the slope formula thing. A equals, and then we have yp minus yq. Oh, excuse me, I got that the wrong way around. Yq minus y of p, and then x of q minus x of p. And then that will give us the slope of the function at xp. So now what we can do, because we basically now have a function really that takes an input x or xp or whatever you want, and that spits out the slope of the function at that x. So I'll just call it v for velocity or whatever you want of x, and let's actually let's just think about, let's just fill these variables in and see what the function will become. So there we go. So y of q, well, that's just this part. That's x of p plus 0.01, you know, the tiny nudge. That can be any small number as long as it's, you know, tiny. And we do that minus y of p, that's just f of xp, like that. And then x of q, that's x of p plus 0.01 minus x of p, well, it's just x of p. And already you can see these two, because we have x of p minus x of p, they'll just become 0. So we can actually quickly rewrite this a little bit, like that. Just copy this. And then we just get the tiny nudge here in the denominator. And actually it will help us a little bit if we don't think of this as the tiny nudge as just a specific value, but as just like delta x, so a tiny difference in x. So we can just say that's 0.001 or whatever. We can also say that the x gets really close to 0, like that, with an arrow. So it's not really 0, but it's really close to it. So let's quickly rewrite it. So that's become xp plus delta x, and minus just regular x of p, and then we have to divide by delta x. So this is actually, this will become the function, the slope function, if you will, v of x, the velocity function, something like that. So now we can use this function to see, well, what is the slope function of, say, f of x equals x squared. So we want to find the slope function or the velocity function. So let's fill this in and let's see what we get. We'll just do some working out. First of all, we have to enter x plus delta x into the function. That will be x plus delta x, and because of the function we have to square it. And we do minus just the regular function minus x squared all over delta x. And the goal is going to be to somehow get rid of this delta x, right? Because we don't want to put that in every time. If we can get rid of it somehow, that would be great. But let's see where we end up. I'll just expand this so that they become x squared, and we have 2 times this times that. 2 times delta x times, oh, this is a little bit confusing, 2 times x times delta x, and then you have delta x squared, and we still have to subtract negative x all over delta x. And now, look what we have. These two will cancel. We have x squared minus x squared. So we're left with 2x delta x plus delta x squared divided by delta x. And here all of these terms in this part all have a delta x, so we can actually factor that out like that. We'll be left with 2x here and just 1 delta x right there. Still divided by delta x, but now we can cross these out because we have times and then divide. So that will be just 2x plus delta x. But now, here we have, because remember, our delta x gets really, really close to 0, so this, we can just say this basically becomes 0. We do kind of a bit of hand wavy, you know. But then we can, because then we can say that our slope function is actually just 2x. And now that was quite a process to end up with this function. But thankfully there are a couple of rules that you can just apply and you don't have to do this process anymore. So you can basically forget this. I mean, it's kind of, it's a bit of, it's a bit long because there are easier ways, but I think it's good that you saw this method once, where it comes from. Because there is a rule that says when you have a function x to the n, where n is just like 1 or 2 or 3 or, you know, the whole numbers, positive whole numbers, then the power rule states that the slope function, or the derivative, you can also call this the derivative, which often denoted with f and an apostrophe, like that. The derivative of x to the n is, you do n, and then times x to the n minus 1. So you can kind of imagine that n jumping forwards and become a coefficient and reducing the power by 1. And then you don't have to do this entire process. You can just say that if this is the function, then this is the derivative. So let's do a quick example, see how that works, because this is quite easy actually. It looks a little bit complicated, but say I have x cubed, then the derivative, so like that, and the derivative will be, well, that x, or that 3 rather jumps in front, so we'll get 3, and then we have to reduce the power by 1, so 3 minus 1, that becomes 2, so our derivative is just 3x squared. That's quite nice, and we can also see that it works for our example we did here. So we had x squared, like that, and then the derivative, well, that 2 jumps in front, so we'll get 2 times x, well, that's, the power will be 2 minus 1, which should just be 1, and x to the power of 1, that's just x, so that's going to be 2x. Now just the last examples will be a bit more standard. Say you have f of x of just some number k, for example, so this can be 3 or pi or whatever you want really. They'll always be 0, because if you think about it, a function of that's just a number is just a horizontal line, and the slope of a horizontal line, as we saw before, is just always 0. You can also think of this as k times x to the 0, and if you differentiate this, then the 0 will jump in front and you will get 0 times whatever, but it'll just be 0. So a function that's just a number will become 0. And the last thing, if you have a constant, so if you have, for example, c, and then let's do x squared, then the constant, if you have something times x or whatever, then that will just stay the same. So you can have, and then you do derivative here, so the c will just remain the same. Right, so let's do a final example to clear everything up. It is important, if you really want to learn this, to practice differentiating. This process is called differentiating from the normal function to the derivative. But it's important practice, because that's the only way to really get what it's all doing and things like that. Okay, so let's differentiate the function 1/5 to the power x to the power of 4. Well, the 4 jumps in front, so we'll get, and the 1/5, that's just a constant, so we can just copy that. 4 jumps in the front, so that becomes 4. Then we have to do times x and reduce the power by 1, that will become 4 minus 1 equal to 3. So the derivative of f of x it will be 4/5 x cubed. Well, that wraps it up. I'll see you in the next part.